Now we have reached the last video. So in this video, I will proceed in continuing discussing some of the personalities behind correctional institution. And these are the some of the personalities behind correctional institution. We have William the Conqueror, we have Enrico Ferri, and lastly we have Clifford Shaw. But first is we will be discussing first William the Conqueror. So William the Conqueror. So William, by name William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, or William of Normandy, is a French Guillaume le Conquérant, or Guillaume le Bâtard, or Guillaume de Normandie. Was born in 1028, Falaise, Normandy, France, and died in September 9, in 1087, Rouen. So William the Conqueror was the Duke of Normandy as William II from from 1035, and King of England as William I from 1066. One of the greatest soldiers and rulers of the Middle Ages was William. He made himself the mightiest noble in France and then changed the course of England's history by his conquest of that country. So, who was William the Conqueror? So, at the age of 8, William the Conqueror became Duke of Normandy and later King of England. Violence plagued his early reign, but with the help of King Henry I of France, William managed to survive the early ages. After the Battle of Hastings in 1066, he was crowned as King of England. He never spoke English and was illiterate, but he had more influence on the evolution of the English language than anyone before or since. William ruled England until his death on September 9, 1087, in Rouen, France. Early life of William the Conqueror. So he was born circa in 1028 in Falaise, Normandy, France. William the Conqueror was an illegitimate child of Robert I, Duke of Normandy, who died in 1035 while returning from pilgrimage to Jerusalem. At only 8 years of age, William became the new Duke of Normandy. Violence and corruption plagued his early reign, as the feudal barons fought for control of his fragile dukedom. A few of William's guards died and his teacher was murdered during a period of severe anarchy. With the help of King Henry I of France, William managed to survive the early ages. So through the help of King Henry I of France, King William the Conqueror have survived the early ages of his life. So, battle for the throne. King Henry I of France knighted William still in his teens in 1042. Taking a new stand on political events, William finally gained firm control of his duchy, although his enemies commonly referred to him as the Bastard due to his illegitimate birth. So by the year 1064, he had conquered and won two neighboring provinces, which is the Brittany and the Maine. In the meantime, the childless King of England, Edward the Confessor, whose mother was a sister of William's grandfather, promised William succession to the English throne. So now let's proceed on the land grab for the Normans. Normans. There were several revolts in the next 5 years, which Williams used as an excuse to confiscate English land and declare in his personal property. He then distributed the land to his Norman followers, who imposed their unique feudal system. Eventually, Normans replaced the entire Anglo-Saxon aristocracy. William, however, retained most of England's situations and was intensely interested in learning about his new property. He ordered a detailed census to made of population and property of England, which was compiled in the Domesday Book. So William conquered this country in order to grab this and give this to his Normandy's followers. So the death and legacy of William the Conqueror. William died on September 9 in the year 1087 in Rouen, France. Although he never spoke English and was illiterate, he had more influence on the evolution of English language than anyone before or since, adding a slew of French and Latin words to the English dictionary. So even though he is not into the speaking of English, but then he has the most influence when it comes to English. The introduction of skilled Norman administrators may be largely responsible for eventually making England the most powerful government in Europe. So the children of William the Conqueror. So William the Conqueror had 4 sons, 5 daughters, and every monarch of England since has his direct descendants. So William the Conqueror he was being named by his enemy as the bastard because he is illegitimate. Even though he's not even speaking into English, but then he was found out as more on influence when it comes to English language. He conquered England for his Norman followers, and he take it as an own personal property. So now let's proceed with Enrico Ferri. So Enrico Ferri was born in Lombardy in the year 1856 and worked first as a lecturer and later as a professor of criminal law, having spent time as the student of Cesare Lombroso. So Enrico Ferri was the student of Cesare Lombroso. He was first a lecturer right after he became a professor of criminal law. While Lombroso reached anthropological criminology, Ferrari focused more on social and economical influences on the criminal and crime rates. So it really differs from Cesare Lombroso's research, which focused more on anthropological criminology, but Ferrari, on his times, he focused more in social economic influences on crime and crime rates. Ferrari's research led to him postulating theories calling for crime prevention methods to be the mainstay of law enforcement, as opposed to punishment of criminals after their crimes had taken place. He became a founder of the Positivist school, and he researched psychological and social positivism as opposed to the biological positivism of Lombroso. Ferri, at the time a radical, was elected to Italian Parliament in the year 1886. In 1893, He joined the Italian Socialist Party and edited their daily newspaper, the Avanti. In the year 1990s and 1904, he spoke about in Congress against the roles of the socialist ministers in bourgeoisie governments. Ferri favored Italian neutrality during World War I, and he was re-elected as a Party deputy in the year 1921. In a post-war Italy, he became a supporter of Mussolini's fascist regime, and Ferrari died in the year 1929. Now, lastly, the last the last personalities behind correctional institution is Clifford Shaw. So let's get to know who is Clifford Shaw. So Clifford Robe Shaw was an American sociologist and criminologist. He was a major figure in the Chicago School of Sociology during the 1930s and 1940s, and is considered to be one of the most influential figures in American criminology. So Clifford Shaw has been the most influential figures in the American criminology. His work on juvenile delinquency, or it focused more on the work of those young or kids who possesses kind of mischievous behaviors or acts of offenses against the law at a very young age, who has committed such offenses which is immoral acts. So his work on juvenile delinquency with Henry D. Mackay, conducted in the late 1920s, played a pivotal role in moving the study of such delinquency toward the discipline of sociology and away from psychology and psychiatry. Shaw and Mackay's work span three general areas. We have studying geographic variation in rates of juvenile delinquency. Second is the study of autobiographical works by the delinquents. And lastly is the development of the Chicago Area Project, a delinquency prevention program in the Chicago area. So these works of Shaw and Mackay have brought more on the focus more on the delinquency, juvenile delinquency. So this ends my discussions about the last topics of the personalities behind correctional institutions. So that will be all. Thank you.